My name is Christabel Boatinko, and today my group and I will be presenting on the topic posed. If critical thinking is so critical to development, why do people, even the educated, find it so difficult to think critically? So before we dive into discussion, let us define critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly, logically, and independently by carefully examining information, evidence, and arguments before making a judgment or decision. Critical thinking has become one of the most frequently discussed skills in education, businesses, politics, and everyday life. Universities encourage students to develop critical thinking skills. Employers seek workers who can think independently, and governments view critical thinking as necessary for social and economic development. Despite its importance, many people still find it difficult to think.
Today, I'll discuss the paradox in the topic. If critical thinking is so critical to development, why do people, even the educated, find it difficult to think critically? At first, this question seems confusing. We know that critical thinking helps people make good decisions, solve problems, and contribute to development. Therefore, one would expect educated people to be good critical thinkers. However, reality shows something different. Many educated people still believe false information, make poor decisions, and sometimes refuse to accept evidence that contradicts their beliefs. This creates a paradox. In other words, although critical thinking is considered very important, many people, including educated individuals, struggle to practice it. One reason for this is that education does not automatically produce critical thinkers. A person may have degrees and certificates but still rely on emotion, personal beliefs, or social pressure when making decisions. Another reason is cognitive bias. People often prefer information that supports what they already believe. This is called cognitive bias. As a result, they ignore evidence that challenges their opinions. Fear of criticism can also prevent people from thinking critically. Many individuals prefer to agree with society, friends, authority figures instead of questioning ideas independently. Furthermore, some educational systems focus heavily on memorization and examination rather than analysis and reasoning. Some students may learn what to think instead of how to think. Therefore, the paradox exists because critical thinking requires more than education. It requires open-mindedness, intellectual humility, and willingness to question our own assumptions. In conclusion, critical thinking is essential for development, but many people find it difficult because of psychological, social, educational barriers. This shows that being educated and being a critical thinker are not always the same.
Good day, I'm Okangad. I'm here to talk about why critical thinking is important in development. Here, critical thinking is widely regarded as an essential requirement for personal and national development. In today's rapid world, changing world, individuals face complex decisions concerning health, politics, economics, technology, and social issues. These challenges require careful analysis rather than blind acceptance. John Dewey argued that reflective thinking allows individuals to examine beliefs and make informed decisions. According to Dewey, education should not simply transfer knowledge but should teach students how to think. When individuals develop critical thinking skills, they become better problem solvers and decision makers. One important benefit of critical thinking is improved decision making. People who think critically evaluate evidence before reaching conclusion. They consider different viewpoints and avoid making decisions based solely on emotions. This reduces errors and improves judgment. Critical thinking allows Critical thinking also contributes to economic development. Modern economics depend on creativity, innovations, and problem solving. Business need workers who can analyze situations, solve problems, and adapt to changing conditions.
My name is Ishura Mami Akwakwa, and today I'll be speaking on cognitive and psychological barriers to critical thinking. These are mental shortcuts and thought patterns that can prevent us from making decisions. One major challenge is confirmation bias. where people seek or accept information that supports their existing belief while ignoring opposing evidence. Another is the Dunning-Kruger effect, where individuals with limited knowledge or skills overestimate their competence, making them less likely to recognize their mistake. These barriers can affect our ability to think critically and solve problems effectively. Therefore, it is important to remain open minded, evaluate evidence carefully, and be aware of our own biases. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Osman Khadija, and I'll be talking about educational and social barriers to critical thinking. Educational barriers occurs when schools focuses more on memorization than understanding. Students often learn fast just to pass exams instead of analyzing and solving problems. In some classrooms, students are afraid to ask questions because teachers are seen as authorities. Social barriers. Social barriers also affect critical thinking. Many people agree with others because they want acceptance and fear criticism. Cultural belief that emphasize respect for authority may discourage independent thinking. Social media can also create echo chambers where people only see informations they support their existing beliefs. In conclusion, critical thinking is limited when people are discouraged from questioning, analyzing evidence, and considering different viewpoints. Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Suleiman Ouakabuns. On behalf of my group, I'm going to talk about why education does not guarantee critical thinking. One of the greatest contradictions in modern education is that many people still fail to think critically. Education system reward the right answers, not the right questions. So they produce people who are highly trained but intellectually dependent and confident in conclusions. The real danger isn't ignorance, but is humility without expertise. That is the credentialed mind that has mistaken its mark for the territory. Education and critical thinking are related, but they are not the same. A person may have excellent academic results yet to analyze real life situations objectively. Furthermore, educated individuals may use their knowledge to defend existing beliefs instead of seeking truth. Thank you.
My name is Mame Adwain Shiraba Afo. Also, problem-based learning can also strengthen critical thinking. When students solve real-life problems, they learn to evaluate evidence and consider multiple solutions. Second, people should learn about cognitive biases. Understanding confirmation bias, overconfidence, and emotional reasoning allows individuals to recognize weaknesses in their own thinking. Third, intellectual humility should be encouraged. Critical thinkers understand that they do not know everything and are willing to change their opinions when new evidence appears. Admitting mistakes should be viewed as a strength rather than a weakness. Fourth, exposure to different viewpoints can improve reasoning. Listening to people with different opinions help individuals examine their own assumptions and develop more balanced perspectives. Media literacy education is equally important. People should learn how to verify information, evaluate sources, and identify misinformation. These skills are especially necessary in the digital age. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Amadou Adiza, and I'll be presenting on the influence of technology, media, and information overload. The modern information age has transformed how people obtain knowledge. The internet provides access to enormous amounts of information, allowing people to learn about almost any topic. However, this abundance of information also creates serious challenges for critical thinking. One major problem is misinformation. False information spreads rapidly through social media platforms. People share information without verifying its accuracy. Emotional stories and sensational headlines frequently receive more attention than factual reports. The rise of fake news has made it increasingly difficult to distinguish truth from falsehood. Political groups, organizations, and individuals sometimes deliberately spread misleading information to influence public opinion. Without strong critical thinking skills, people may accept such information without questioning it. Information overload also affect judgment. Individuals are exposed to thousands of messages, videos, articles, and opinions every day. Processing all this information requires time and effort.
Hello everyone, my name is Rabiga Amponsa. Today I'm here to talk about pathway forward pedagogical and societal reform that encourage genuine critical thinking. Ways to improve critical thinking in societies. 1. Motivate students to ask questions rather than memorizing it so that they can recall later. 2. Promoting media literacy to identify misinformation. 3. Encouraging intellectual humanity, teaching problem solving and analytical skills. Then finally, supporting open-minded on discussions and debates.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Echampo Promise, and I will be doing conclusion for why education people find it difficult to think critically. So, with the conclusion, critical thinking plays a vital role in personal growth and societal development. Despite its importance, many people, including educated individuals, find it difficult to think critically because of cognitive biases, social pressures, and educational practices that often emphasize memorization over analysis. To overcome these challenges, individuals must develop open-mindedness, intellectual humility, and the ability to evaluate evidence objectively. By encouraging these qualities, society can cultivate better critical thinkers who are capable of making informed decisions and contributing positively to development. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I go by the name Anima Gooding. Today, we are here to discuss a topic about educational and social barriers. Educational institutions are expected to develop critical thinkers. However, many educational systems focus more on memorization than reasoning. In many schools, students are rewarded for remembering information rather than analyzing it. Examinations often emphasize facts, definitions, and formulas instead of problem solving and evaluations. Students therefore learn to memorize content to pass examinations. Rote learning may help students achieve high grades, but it does not necessarily develop critical thinking skills. Students may know what to think without understanding why they think it.